Well, here we are in Saluda, South Carolina, and I'm here to visit and talk to my friend and fellow combat veteran, Larry Dasher. Now, Larry, you and I served in Vietnam at the same time. I got there towards the end of your tour in '68,
Right.
and then I stayed in '69. But there's a rich history of the 2nd Platoon that precedes me. In other words, you guys, and we're going to talk about the guys that you served with too, you know, there was a lot of stuff that happened in that platoon, you know, before I got there.
Right.
And I think I shared with you once before, when I got there weren't very many of you guys left.
No.
I mean, it was a time when it was just a very bad time.
Right.
But we'll get into that later. What I want to know first of all is, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Columbia, South Carolina. I was raised in South Carolina, North Carolina. My father was a minister, and we moved around.
Okay, I was going to ask you about your folks. What?
Well, my daddy was a preacher, and after he left the seminary here in Columbia, he went to Fairfax, South Carolina as a minister. Then we left there and went to Salisbury, North Carolina. From there, we left Salisbury and went to Hickory, North Carolina.
What denomination was he?
Lutheran.
Oh, okay.
And then we went to Wilmington, North Carolina. And I guess he got tired. He wanted to come back. Well, not really home, but this is my mother's home.
Mm-hmm.
So he moved back to Chapin, South Carolina.
Okay. And what was it like growing up as a preacher's kid?
You didn't know where you're going to be one time next.
Yeah.
You get one place, and you get used to the people. Wham, bam.
Yep. Kind of like being an army, you know,
Right.
an army brat, actually.
Right. Well, I don't know about that,
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know
'cause
what you're
they
talking about.
move, and never get to establish anything
Right.
like that. Now, your mom, she was a housewife then, and raised.
She did a little help on secretary, I guess, accounting and stuff.
Okay.
People need accounting done, but she really took care of the home mostly.
Okay. And do you have any brothers and sisters?
I got 2 sisters.
Yeah.
One, Eileen, which is younger than me, and Ruthie, which is younger than me.
Okay. And what, are they here close by, or?
Oh, they're right. Ruthie was just up here this morning. She lives in Chapin.
Okay.
And my sister lives right behind me, and my mother.
Okay, very good. Super. So, one of the things I always am curious about the guys when I interview them, did you volunteer for the Army or did you get drafted?
I got drafted.
Okay. Tell me about that story. When did you get the letter? What were you doing in your life at the time you got the letter that said the president wanted you to come and serve?
At that time in my life, I was working at Columbia Crawler, which is heavy equipment. We turned down, did tracks and rollers and all that, rebuilding and all that. And I was working there. Well, I got a call in June of '67 to report to the draft board. So I did. So I went out to Fort Jackson. We went through all that rigmarole. And they found out that I'd been in a hospital in North Carolina, which at that time was for insane people, or whatever you want to call it. So
You'd been in a hospital for that?
yes. And
Now, you know, a lot of guys have always suspected that. And see, now you just had to go and tell everybody on this.
well, I got out of the hospital there. I mean, they sent me home. Said
What
I
was it like,
4F.
stress and stuff? Or?
Yeah, said I was 4F. I said, okay, so I went home. Well, about a month, 2 later, I got a letter saying report back to Fort Jackson to building so-and-so and so-and-so. And I went there and I walked this building. I recognized the rank because it was Spec 5.
Oh, yeah.
And he asked what are you here for? And I told him, okay, the doctor wants to see you. I said, okay, I sit there. The doctor come out. He called me back there, and I went back there, and he said, I'm Dr. So-and-so. And I said, all right. He said, I'm here to evaluate you. I said, you are? He said, yeah. He asked me some stupid questions, in my opinion. And he said, okay, go home. Well, I went home. And then in mid-August, I got a letter saying report to my draft board
Now,
in Lexington.
that evaluation, was it strictly just conversation, or
Yeah,
did they
it
do a
just-
physical on you?
No, it's a conversation.
Okay.
He asked me if I'd ever had sex, never masturbated, and all that. And I asked
Sure.
him what that was. And then that's when he said, go home. Well, then I got my letter towards the end of August saying report to my draft board. Well, when we went back out to Fort Jackson, I didn't have no trouble. They took me in.
Yeah.
So I spent my basic AIT at Fort Jackson.
Tell me about what it was like for a young. How old were you at that time?
I was 20 years old.
Okay, so you're 20 and a young man. What was it like to all of a sudden you find yourself in basic training? What was basic like?
Well, I was oldest one in my platoon. The rest of them 17, 18.
Yep.
I said, good night alive. It was sort of strange.
Was it hard on you
No, not really.
physically?
No, not really.
You were in pretty good shape?
Sort of. And the thing about it, I had a drill sergeant, Stuart Stewart. He took care of me like I was his son.
I'll be.
And I don't know why. And I was there one day. He had a 67 Dodge Charger. And he asked me, said, you know anything about cars? I said, just a little bit. He said, well, I ain't running right. So I cranked it and it wasn't running right. I said, oh, you need points and plugs. So he went downtown and got points and plugs. He was on CQ. So I changed his points and plugs.
I'll be.
And he was happy as could be.
And
It run great.
oh, that's awesome.
Because he'd been dogging that thing.
Sure. So at the time you were at Jackson and Basic, did you have any idea, number one, what you were going to be doing in the Army?
Well, we were training with the M14, which then everybody was firing weapons.
Everybody had to learn to do that, yeah.
And I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing.
So you could have been a cook, you could have been, so nobody said anything to you during Basic?
No. But the day of graduation, or the day we graduated, we were back in the company and they were calling out names. So-and-so you're going here, so-and-so you're going there. Oklahoma Cook School,
Oh, yeah, and all of a sudden you started getting...
You said, oh, boy. That meant, some of that meant over choppy seas, some people. But then he said, the first sergeant said, the rest of you are going across post to D11-3.
No.
I said, what is that? Well, we found out when it was infantry.
So what was you thinking then?
Well, what is infantry? Because I didn't know anything. I mean, I wasn't keeping up with what was going on in the world. I heard about Vietnam, It really wasn't much then.
But that wasn't even probably on your mind.
It wasn't.
Okay.
And then when halfway through AIT, half of us had 14s, the other half had 16s.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when it went to qualification, they give us 16s, and we had no idea what we were doing.
Oh, no.
So we could finish training and everything, and we were all standing out there. And we had this big old first sergeant, Tom's. He was probably 6'4". He was the old soldier with the blouse.
Oh, yes.
He was straight, and he said something.
Spit shine boot.
Oh, yes. I mean, he said, let me tell you something, boys. I said, you all graduated, and I'm going to tell you where everybody's going. We were all excited. He had an old 49 Plymouth. I can remember that. No. Well, it was an old Plymouth. Big old long thing. He said, you know what? Y'all graduating, you're going out into the world. He didn't call off a bunch of names which weren't going to Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
And then the rest of us going.
He didn't say the word Vietnam. He said you're going into the world, out in the world.
I don't know what he said, but we found out. And he said, let me tell you something. Y'all get there drinking and all that. Let me tell you something. I got that old Plymouth or whatever it is out there. He says, I get in it, go to the club every evening, and I drink and I drink. I get in and it drives me home. I said, what's going on? But he was he was an old soldier, and I loved him.
Yeah.
For some stupid reason. Well, then we left there and went to Vietnam.
Tell me about that. Did you get to come home for like a 30-day leave?
No, we had 30 days.
No.
No. Yeah, we had 30 days, that's right. Because I didn't take Christmas leave.
Okay. At this time in your life, were you married, single,
No.
Engaged?
I was
Had
single.
a girlfriend, any?
I had a girlfriend. And we were going to get married before I went to Vietnam. I done engaged to her and all that and got the marriage license. I got out and got in some trouble. And I wound up in jail. Mother and Daddy come and got me out. Well, I went on to Vietnam without getting married.
What was the feeling that your mom and dad had when they realized that the next place you were going to be was in a war?
Well, I don't really know because Daddy was in World War II, and he was proud of me to be going. Okay.
Well, and he knew.
Right. He knew what was going on, and Mother, I think she was proud because she knew I was doing something. Because her daddy was in World War One.
Okay.
Daddy was in World War II, and all this, and her brother died.
So it was like carrying on a tradition.
It's carrying on a tradition. And she was always there with me. Well, I got to Vietnam, boy, had an awakening. And I walked into Charlie Company.
Let's back up just a little bit.
Okay.
The plane flies in to Benoit.
Holy mackerel.
They open the door. What was your first impression of Vietnam?
Why am I here? It was, they opened that door and you walked out of that heat. It was a slap in the face. You smelled all the rice patties and all that.
And probably them burning the...
Well, not at that time. It was after we got to the reception station. But it was a change in life.
Oh, yeah, probably a shock. I mean, how do you...
shock.
How does a guy prepare himself for that? You don't.
You don't. There's no way you can prepare yourself for that.
Now, in AIT, when I was in AIT, they had a lot of Vietnam vets instructing.
Yes.
Same thing for you? Did they try to tell you guys, like when you were in the bleachers or they were supposed to be doing did they ever talk to you about that and try to warn you?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, I remember that
And
too.
I remember the instruction of the bayonet. That was the major thing.
Yeah.
Because it said, we hope you never have to use the bayonet.
Oh, yeah.
But the bayonet is to kill.
Yep.
That is your last defense.
Yep. And of course, when they start talking about that, a guy, it doesn't take very long to figure out, well, they're going to be close.
Right.
I mean, does that mean they're going to be running over us? Or,
well, that's a possibility.
What does that mean?
Right. It has happened.
So when did you go to Vietnam?
I went there the first time in March of '68.
Okay. And so let's go to the reception station. And of course, you didn't know where you were going. You knew you were infantry MOS.
Right.
And then did you sit in the bleachers and they'd call out names a couple of times a day and you'd wait until your name was called? Or how did you find out that you were going to the 25th?
Well, we were in Long Binh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
R&R Center.
Of course. Yeah, Long Binh, yeah.
And when we got there, that's when they had their first attack, and we started filling sandbags because there were no bunkers there, no protection.
Wow.
Man, they worked our butt off. And then they called a bunch of us together out of one barracks that I was in. Says, y'all going to 25th Infantry Division, lock, stock, and barrel. So we went to 25th Infantry Division.
They put you in a deuce and a half?
Yes.
And drive you to Coochie?
No, they flew us down there.
Oh, helicopters?
No, and C-130.
Okay, was that your first airplane ride like that?
Yeah, and something like that.
Yeah.
Then we got off there at Coochie. They put us, we went, how did we do? Oh, we went to...
Tay Ninh?
No. Where's the airport down there? Saigon.
Saigon, yeah.
Saigon, we went there. Then they put us in those buses with all them PSP on the side of them, took us to Coochie.
Yeah.
With no weapons.
Did you figure out in a quick hurry why they had screen and stuff over the windows?
Yep, after I seen what they did at Cameron Bay, I had a good idea.
You know, that all of a sudden, you've only been there a few days, and it's starting to come to you that you might be in a bad situation.
Right.
So, okay, so you get to Coochie. Here's Charlie Company. What do you remember about those first days, or when who came out or who talked to you about welcome to the company and tell you about the unit and that kind of stuff?
You know, I can't remember that day, and I have no idea why. I know they called it was Chief.
Grits.
Huh?
His name was Grits.
Okay.
Wasn't it? An Indian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called him Chief. He had a big old knife on his side.
Yep. His last name was Grits. He got killed, right?
I don't know, John.
Yeah, he did. He got killed.
Okay. Then he said, okay, I want to introduce you. You're in the 2nd platoon. I said, okay. He said, I want to introduce you to the platoon.
Now, are you out in the field now?
No, they just came in the rear.
Okay.
They got wiped out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
That's when Con got killed.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of them. And Con's from here in Columbia. And he looked at me and he said, I want to introduce you to the platoon. And I looked back and I said, well, where are they? There were 4 people there. He was the 5th one. He said, that is us. I said, do what? He said, yep, we lost a lot of people today. He said, where are you from? I said, South Carolina. He said, you know Michael Con? I said, no, I know some Cons that live in Columbia. He said, well, that's where he was from. Well, he was the 60 gunner. You're taking the 60.
Did he tell you he got killed? Just a couple of days before that?
Yeah. I said, oh, gee, just what I need, a 60. And at the time, I didn't realize that a 60 gunner expected life was 30 days.
Especially if you pulled the trigger.
Well, I pulled it many a time.
But you know what I'm saying. When you spotted where that 60 was at,
I know.
Everybody wanted to get a shot at that.
Well, I know quite a few times. So I went on with them, and we were there one day. I didn't even have time to unpack.
Did you even have? There wasn't enough guys to have an ammo bearer, was there?
No.
The
rest, everybody carried a couple hundred rounds.
Yeah.
And that night we went out on OP. And LP, OP, whatever. And I didn't know nothing. And they had the 60. Well, at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's my time to pull guard. So I set up and everything, and man, I looked out and I seen all kind of dinks out there. I said, oh, Lord. I was ready to fire. And I said, hey, man, oh, no, that's another company out there.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
I was facing the wrong way. So that was over with. And then I think the next come in, I don't remember who come in. I think 9 and...
Was Willie in the platoon when you got
Willie
there?
was in. Willie,
Cal. Was Hannah there yet?
No, Hannah wasn't there yet.
Okay.
We were glad when Hannah come.
Yep.
Somebody to do something. And he wouldn't do anything.
Yep.
He said, y'all teach me. I said, oh, no.
Well, you know what? He was smart.
Yeah, he was. He was. And I don't know. It's just the way things are. Because Teach come in, now I come in, Rabbi came
Fitzgerald.
in. Weatherman.
Con.
Yeah.
The weatherman.
Right. And I don't know. It's just a strange thing to
Higgins. Do you remember Frank Higgins?
Yeah, I remember Higgins.
He came in with Teach.
Right.
And Fitzgerald. You remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember Fitzgerald.
Okay, those 3 guys came in at the same time.
And then James came in. Marshall. And
oh, I know who was there. Bruiser.
oh, Lord.
Huh.
Yeah.
Dale Cutler.
Then Ketchum.
And Lee.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord.
Yeah, but remember Bruiser?
Yeah, I remember Bruiser.
Why did they call him that?
I have no idea, but I didn't mess with him. But you know, the thing is, we were different people when we got there, but then we were all together. And sometimes you couldn't figure people out, especially Ketchum, because he was strange.
Did he ever tell you why he was in Vietnam?
No, he didn't.
It was either prison, or the judge told him prison or Vietnam.
Well, I figured that because...
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And so he goes, well, I sure don't want to go to prison.
Right.
So that's how he wound up in the Wolfhounds.
I run a lot of that in the military.
Oh, you know what I was just going to tell you? There was a lot of guys in Vietnam that it was either jail, you know, and a lot of these judges, they knew what they were doing. They were getting bodies for the military.
Right.
You know. And they figure I'd rather have them over there than on the street here.
Well, that happened to me on my second tour.
So, okay, so this is what, a couple of weeks you're in. Tell me about the first time that you actually got in a firefight.
Now, that's hard. I was in so many of them. I think the first one, we were going through this village and they opened up on us because somebody set it on fire.
Did you shoot? I mean, were
Yeah,
you
I
guys
shot.
So you were shooting back?
Yeah, I was shooting back.
Okay.
And I don't actually remember what happened. It didn't last long, and then we got out of there.
Yeah. Do you remember a place that you guys had some trouble at called Ten Toes Cemetery?
Not that
Where a bunch of PCs were coming through, you know, personnel carriers at night, in the middle of the night, and they didn't know you guys were in there?
we had that happen, but I don't know what the name of the place was.
Ten Toes.
10 Toes.
That's what that graveyard was called. And the reason it was is because they were burying so shallow, because they were burying them so fast, that their feet, the ends of their feet, they didn't get them covered up.
Oh.
That's a shallow grave, you know.
Right,
that's
right,
pretty
I know.
shallow. But and I remember Willie talked about a couple of different incidences that happened at graves.
Oh, yeah.
That headstones, you know, bullets busting the head. You're trying to hide behind a headstone, and the darn thing,
All pieces.
yeah, come all apart.
Ain't nothing to it.
Yep.
But I think the only thing I really remember, because some of it had went over my head.
Sure.
Sometimes I have dream about it at night and then I'll remember it. But I think the worst one I remember was when we were going down towards Saigon River, or the Orient. I don't remember which one it was. And I don't know who this dumbass lieutenant was we had. But we were headed down, and I told weatherman, I said, get your ass off the berm. Ah, it's easy walking up here. Well, that's when he caught a bullet between the eyes.
Yep.
Well, I didn't realize me and him were the only one down there. And they had us pinned down.
Oh, no.
And I cut loose my 60.
Now, was he an ammo bearer?
Yeah, he's my ammo bearer.
Yep, that's what I thought.
And I cut loose my 60. Well, that's the worst mistake in the world I made. Luckily, I was laying beside a berm there. And I'd placed 60 up on my chest.
By the way, did you know he was toast when when he got flipped off the berm? Did you know he was done?
Yeah, I could look at him.
Oh, so he was that.
He was laying right there beside me.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
So that was over.
He
It
was
over.
dead.
It was over.
And he had my ammo, but I couldn't. And I think I had approximately 200 rounds.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I done fired up a bunch. And I couldn't do anything because of the location, the way they were. You know, they had me pinned. So I wouldn't fire. And then they brought in airstrikes, artillery, and all that. And I said, Lord, I'm going to die. And then they brought in napalm.
Oh,
When they brought that stuff in, pieces were landing all beside me, here, there, and everywhere.
do you remember the heat?
And I remember one landing on my chest, on the ammo. Luckily, it didn't set the ammo off,
Oh my.
but it was warm.
Oh yeah.
But you could hear that stuff just sizzling in that rice paddy. Well, finally,
And
after
the smell, you'll never forget that, will you?
no, finally about a day and a half, 2 days, I don't know, we got out of there finally, and got back up on the hill. And I don't remember how they got weathermen out of there because I wasn't really concerned. I just wanted out of there.
Yeah.
And they got
Were
back.
were they doing dust offs at that time? Were they sending in choppers to get guys out?
Okay, they sent in a chopper with supplies of water and everything.
All the time. Yep.
And they dropped it, but they had them bladders.
Yes.
We didn't have no water because they tore up everything with hitting the jungle and all that, and
yeah.
all the food. Well, we finally got out of there, and somebody, it was up on a hill there, and there was bushes, bamboo and all that. somebody found a stream of water bubbling up.
No kidding.
Let me tell you what, we were drinking that stuff. That lieutenant said, "It's gonna kill you. It's gonna kill you."
Hey,
I give a damn. I lay down there for 2 days.
I'm dying of thirst anyway.
That's right. Then we got out of there, and then when we
What was Willie doing in the platoon at that point? And Cal?
point man, Cal was back up. Now was now was my assistant gunner. Then he give up assistant gunner because he wanted to walk flank and be.
You remember Coy Strobel?
Yeah, I remember Corey.
And then, of course, you know, he got killed.
Right.
Remember when Herb got separated?
That was Jim Marshall and all them. Yeah, that there. That's when he give up the assistant gunner.
Yep.
I told him, I said, you don't want to do that.
And of course, didn't Herb was hurt bad enough that they got him out of there, right?
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I tell you what, he should have got more than what he got. Because he told us where they were and everywhere they were.
I know. And you know, they came up and stabbed him and tried to shoot him. And remember the watch? They stole his watch.
And his special hatchet and
gosh. And I don't know how you could lay there and not scream or not. You know, he played dead is what he did, because they start taking his clothes off too? His belt and stuff?
I don't remember that.
I think that's what he said.
They took his buddy next to him.
Yeah, but
they stripped him. They skinned him alive.
No, not that.
Wasn't
No,
that
that was a different
yeah.
situation.
But that's when, is that when we come out of the woods? No. Captain Blackman said he had that old car 15. He threw that sucker in the pile because he threw that thing down and said, "This son of a bitch ain't worth a damn." He grabbed the M16.
That was the last time he ever carried that all back.
Yeah.
Now, you know, so how long had you been there when this occurred?
I don't even know what. One was in May.
So March, you'd only been there 3 months.
Yeah, and one was in April.
So 2 months.
And was that when we went to Hot Mom Bridge? I'd only been there a short time. We went to Hot Mom Bridge.
Was that where Kelly got the...
Buffalo.
Or was that Fukong?
No, that's Hot Mom Bridge.
Hot Mom, okay.
Where he wrestled the water buffalo.
You remember that?
We heard something. Kelly he wasn't giving up them cokes. He didn't, you know him. I wish I'd had a movie camera then.
Oh my goodness. But then guys started shooting the buffalo.
Yeah. And
Did you know that one of the rounds went in his knee?
that's how he got a Purple Heart.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew that.
That's the reason he come to company clerk.
Yeah, and then he got gored, you know, in the stomach. Now, do you recall, of course, blows my mind. You would think that a guy that just got almost killed by a water buffalo, shot in the knee and gored in the stomach, that they would medevac him out of there. They didn't. He spent the night under the bridge.
Yeah.
What was going on with that outfit?
Hey, the situation we were in, you couldn't get nobody out there.
God.
You know, it was a bad situation.
Man.
And that's where I almost killed Weatherman. That's where he shot up in the air.
What did he do that for?
He was sitting there wanting to see how his weapon worked. He didn't know it.
No.
He Willie, no. Rabbi was going to kill him. He was sitting on the bunker there, and we heard around, and all of us he was sitting there looking up through the barrel. He done took it down looking through the barrel.
Unbelievable.
What did you know about Willie and the actifine injector?
What's that?
The actifine injector?
Nope.
We were sitting there on Hot Mom Bridge, and it was in a protective mask. Willie wanted to see how it worked.
You're kidding me.
Nope.
Tell everybody what the atropine injector was for.
It's for chemical biological warfare.
Yeah, that's exactly. I had one. I actually brought one home.
You-
They issued everybody
Yeah.
one, but most of the guys lost it or didn't have. So he actually did it.
Yes.
And What happened?
He didn't go out with us that night.
I mean, did it like,
I guess, I don't know. He couldn't go with us.
did it weird him out?
Yeah, well, he was weird already.
I know.
But, you know, it was, I mean, I don't know.
Wouldn't that have been something if he'd have went in twitching and
And that night, we went out on hasty ambush patrol. And I had the runs. We went out on those hasty ambush patrols. Got out there, and I was messing my pants up the whole time, but I couldn't stop. And we heard something, man. We were ready. I said, what the hell are they doing? Looked around, and weatherman was blowing up an air mattress.
no.
Of course, he didn't blow it up no more.
Who was it?
Weatherman. Colin.
Yeah, I know. Now, from what you've described, this guy
He wasn't there.
had a few issues.
He did. He had quite a few issues. And that's what his daughter said.
Yeah.
From what she understood of him, because she never met him.
Yeah. So when was the first time that you actually, besides Con, when was the first time you were in a firefight when one of our guys got killed?
What, May 17th? Or whatever it was there in May when we
Who
lost.
Do you remember who it was?
Well, we lost 9 all of them.
And so it was Coy
Yeah.
Strobel.
Yeah, all the ones on the fender.
Yeah. What was your feeling? I mean, after the dust settled, because you were out there for 2 days. That wasn't just a one-day get in.
No,
and
by
get,
no means.
You know, so what was your feeling at that point? Did you feel like this is just like more serious than I think I can even deal with? Or?
No, I didn't. I was enjoying it.
Okay, so you were in it.
Right, I loved it
Okay.
for some stupid reason. But I remember losing, was it Coy?
Yep.
When we were up in Train Bank at the Horseshoe. That's the first one I remember losing, but he didn't die. He got shot in the asshole.
That wasn't by Tainan?
Yeah.
Was that Hannah?
No, that wasn't Hannah. That was Coy.
Because Hannah got shot in the rear end up in Tainan at some point.
Yeah, but Coy, is that what it is? I can't remember. He was we were working with 5th Mech, and we got ambushed. And he was crawling for the APC to get in it. He got in there, and he says, we got away from there, and he said, man, my butt's itching. I don't know who the medic was. Said, let me look. Ripped his pants open, he had a bullet.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, next letter we got from him, I'm on the Freedom Bird.
Now let me ask you this. Do you remember, was that the same time that one of those PCs ran over one of our guys and killed him?
I don't remember that.
Okay, because that
I don't
happened.
remember that.
That did happen during an incident at Tainan, but I don't know the date. I don't know when.
Well, who was it?
A Mexican kid. Some Mexican kid. So, and I've worked many years trying to put the puzzle together on that. There's 3 or 4 guys that were there and knew, but they can't remember the guy's name. So, which isn't surprising.
Hold it. That was in Tainan?
Yeah.
That must have been the same time Stroke or Coy got shot. Somebody did get run over.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were trying to evacuate, get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I don't remember.
And that was a pretty good gunfight, as I have heard.
All them up there were good gunfights.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we're right here, DMZ,
Yep.
Rocket Belt and all that.
Yep. Do you remember any fire support bases that you were in?
Yeah, the one right outside, but there at Tainan,
Oh,
the bridge.
what was the one outside of Tainan? Were you ever at Crockett?
No, I never. That was y'all's.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember, I don't remember the name of them. I remember we helped build one, go out the back gate of Coochie, hook a left, and go out there a couple miles, and it was back off to the left.
Does the name Kotrick or Harris or?
I don't, names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about names. I was doing my job.
Yep.
You know.
And
Some people remember all that, but I don't.
Yeah, yeah. So, did you take an R&R?
Yes.
And where did you go for that?
Bangkok.
Do you remember a place called Happy Happy House?
No, because I went in the NCO club there.
Oh. Do you know what the Happy Happy House was?
Uh-uh.
Where most of the GIs, when they got to Bangkok, went right away?
No, I didn't go there.
Where the girls were?
You're talking to a minister's son, John.
So you were still innocent at that point?
No. But let me tell you, when I got to Bangkok, the hotel I went to, they were, Air America was there.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The CIA. But they didn't know. I mean, they didn't, right?
And I got involved talking to a couple of them, and they were down in the bar there drinking. They was feeding me that plum wine.
Oh, yes.
Or whatever that stuff
Yeah.
was. And I was enjoying it. And then they went to the NCO club, because they were authorized in the NCO club, which is right down the road. We had a good time there. Well, that's when I had got wounded. We were on that Tay-in on that fire sport base there. That's when that 121 or whatever it was blew me in the bunker.
That was the rocket that came in.
Yes.
Yep.
That's when it helped kill our Kit Carson's scalp,
Yep.
because he was out there hanging in a hammock.
Hmm.
And Ketchum and I were in that bunker together. And I know we kissed one another, trying to get out of there because we knew we were dead.
So you what did you get, some shrap?
I got plenty of shrapnel.
And what? So was it bad enough that they got you into the field hospital, or?
No, I didn't. I wouldn't go. Well, yeah, I did. When I was going to RLR, I went and had them check it out, and they said, "Oh, you got shrapnel and all that," and they wrote it up, you know.
Yeah, yep.
And I kept all that stuff. And well, when I got to Bangkok, I was having problems with my back, so one of the soldiers of fortune took me over to the dispensary.
Oh, okay.
They cleaned it out with swabs that long, I swear.
Unbelievable. Oh, God.
They said, "You'll be all right." I said, "Oh, okay."
Wow.
So then when I went back, that's when all my expectation in life changed. Because I loaded up on the juice tab to go back out in the field. And when I got out there, they didn't give me no weapon. When I got back out there, they told me Hannah had been killed.
Mm-hmm.
Said, "You're going back to the rear." So they sent me back to the rear. I didn't know what was going on.
That was about the same time Willie was getting ready to get out, and Cal Johnson was getting ready to.
Right. And
So did you guys pal up in Cu Chi?
oh, yes, we did. And there were two other guys with us. I don't know who they were, but they had got out of the field and they went back to brigade headquarters. They were with us, but I don't remember who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Now,
whatever.
you knew who your replacements were, right?
Y'all.
Yeah.
But I couldn't understand a lot of things because Hannah didn't get killed in November.
No. What was it, May?
Now, this was October. They told me that was in October. And
Because
they
it's on the website.
I got it right there in my
Yeah.
up there. And I couldn't understand that, but I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
So, who was it? There was, I don't remember.
When did Sergeant Glover come in?
Right before you.
And did you serve with him? Did you?
Well, not really, because that's when
You were just
that's
crossing.
You're right. And I couldn't, but see, what I couldn't understand is why they took me out of the field, and I couldn't get no answers. So they sent me to brigade headquarters. And the sergeant major says, "You gonna be my electrician? Take care of my generator?" I said, "No, I belong in." "No, you're not." I said, "Okay." And who did I question? I questioned somebody about why I was taken out of the field. And they says, "You don't really want to know." That's all I ever got.
Any guesses?
Well, I guess they thought I was crazy.
Now you mentioned earlier you kind of enjoyed
Oh, I did. I
what your
loved
job was. So do you think somebody thought maybe you were enjoying it a little bit too much?
it. Well, Hannah took care of me. And I think that's who did it.
Yeah. So how long did you serve in Coochie?
That was November, December, January, 6 months.
Okay. Did you see the guys once in a while?
Oh, yeah. Anytime they went in the rear, they went up there in the barracks with me.
Oh, yeah. Can you remember what was the absolute worst day you had in Vietnam?
The worst day? Was that May the 18th or whatever it was? When we got pinned down and now I got hit. All those got
and
killed.
that was, from all the guys I talked to, that was it seemed like it lasted forever.
It did. Well, no, that along with down on the river when I got pinned down, that was a long time.
Yep.
That's not long. I had some more, you didn't know whether you would come out or not.
Did you carry a claymore as
Yeah.
the machine gunner?
Yeah.
Would you go out and set them up and?
No, I'd give them somebody else because
Okay.
Willie'd always go out and set them up.
Oh, okay.
Willie was the main man for setting them up.
Okay.
Crazy Willie.
Yeah. And who would you say your closest buddies were when you were in the platoon?
All of them. But I have to take Rabbi and Nye. And James. Kyle.
What's it like when you go to a reunion
Or,
and you see Marshall and you see?
well, at first I wasn't going. You knew that. It took a long time for me to go. And I think the first one up there in Maryland, D.C., wherever it was,
Washington, D.C.
when Teach walked in and Rabbi walked in.
Yes.
Of course, Teach, I didn't know who he was unless he took his toupee off.
I know. We talked about that.
I looked and said, Teach?
That's funny.
And that's something, but that's the group of us, which was Cal, Cal, Willie, Teach, me, and I. We were there at that time
Yep.
when there was nobody.
Yes.
We're different than what y'all are, in my opinion. Because we formed a brotherhood there
Mm-hmm.
that is different. Because we went at least for a month or more without, with just us five.
Yeah. And when Ray and I and Russ Bruns walked into the platoon at or at Crockett,
Right.
there was only 8 guys left in the platoon. And Joe Wascom was one of them, and Lee Ketchum was one of them, and Glover was there. Naso had just got there. And I didn't know nothing, just like you when you got there. You didn't know nothing. And I went up to Joe and I said, where is everybody? And because I knew what a platoon was.
Right.
and he goes, this is it. What you see is, we're down to 2 bunkers. Basically, we can man 2 bunkers and that's it. And of course then he told me they'd gotten the holy bejesus beat out of them up there and a lot of wounded and killed and stuff. And I thought, again, that's why I asked you, what did it feel like when you knew that platoon had just gone through hell?
I was just, oh shit.
Yeah. I mean, and well, it was a wake up.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't know I was getting into a serious situation,
Right.
I did then.
Right.
I really did.
I'm surprised Ketchum made it as far as he did.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I remember about Lee, and this is a funny thing. Every time we would stop when we were out on patrol, he'd lay down on his back with his pot under his head and go to sleep. I've never seen anybody that could go to sleep as quickly as, I mean,
I know.
it was weird. It was strange.
I know.
And I thought, you know, and I remembered that forever. But it kind of cracked me up. I go, every time you'd see Ketchum, he'd be laying on his back with his head up on his pot, sleeping.
Well, another thing about Ketchum, when we were up at Taney in that fire support base, we went down on the bridge down there to pull down beside to pull watch. And it was Ketchum's time, and he was laying there. And the way he pulled guard there, he kept that M16 right here, laying down. And the muzzle was right in front. He was there looking, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, he pulled the trigger.
Oh, no.
He's, that was me. It was no kidding. We seen the flash right in front of you. It blinded him.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that funny how stuff like that happened? And at the moment, it was like horrible. And then when you look back on it, it was pretty funny, you know.
Well, that'd be like we just got out of this ambush and escaped it, and we set up for the night, and you don't know where you are or what you're doing. I was laying there, and I said, man, this sure is nice here. And when the daylight come, we were in the middle of a cemetery. I said,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
And Willie talks about more than a couple of times you guys were,
Oh, yeah, we stayed.
were in the cemetery.
Because, see, they wouldn't come around cemeteries.
Yep. But if they knew you were in there, they would shoot.
Well,
in
yeah,
there.
they would shoot in there, but they wouldn't come in there.
Did you receive any awards or citations?
Well, I got the Bronze Star, the Army Commendation Medal. I got a bunch of them. Good Meritorious Service Medal. And I
Now,
got two
did you
Bronze
qualify for good conduct?
Stars. I don't know. I still got it.
You got one.
But and they give me some. I don't think I got a Korean campaign
yeah.
all that. I got a bunch of them, but I'm not one who. I mean, that's really nothing to me. Yeah, I got a few that I respect. My CIB, my Purple Heart, you know. And
you know, whenever you talk to the guys, the number one thing's the CIB.
that's right, because I earned that.
That's the only.
But you know, the thing about it, I didn't get the CIB in Vietnam.
They didn't get it
Nope.
on your orders.
Nope.
When did it catch up to you?
When I went back in the Army, I was at Fort Benning. The guy looked at me, and I had my 214. I keep everything.
Oh yes.
And he looked at it and says, he looked at me and he says, where's your CIB? I said, I never got issued one. He looked back, and you were this unit, this, that, and said, you did get a CIB? I said, no. He said, you do now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. and I'm going to tell you, you know, when I started doing the reunions,
Yeah.
when Tommy Clack, when I found him, the guy in the wheelchair,
Yeah.
Tommy, well, he was the one that started telling everybody, fill out this form.
Yeah.
And put a copy of your DD-214, and he'd send them in. Joe Wascom did not have a CIB.
I know. I had to write a letter for him, and Smokes.
Can you believe that?
Smokes too.
I mean, how? And so Tommy told me, he says, this is the deal. He said, you got a company clerk sitting in a Quonset hut someplace.
Right.
And he's probably no more interested, really. And if there's a pile of stuff, he's going through this and that. I mean, missing half the stuff that, you know, the Army way, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was shocked when I found out how many guys didn't have awards. The awards they were given.
That's right.
And so then what date did you come home from Vietnam?
March of '69. Yeah, March '69.
And what was that like, finally getting home? And
I guess where I landed, California.
Oakland? Mm-hmm. And how did you get home?
Bought me a ticket.
Okay. And then did you have any time in service left to do?
Yeah, I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for 6 months.
And tell me what you did there.
Well, I met up with Willie and Cal. They were there.
No kidding.
Nope. Well, what I did at Fort Dix was strange because they put me on the 60 range.
Well,
Oh, I love
I
that.
mean, that seems like it would be logical.
Yeah, and well, then I was there about 4 months. They closed training down at Fort Dix because 75% of the people who had left from Fort Dix to went to Vietnam were casualties.
Ooh. That's not good.
So they put me doing nothing for a while, and then they put me sergeant guard of the ranges.
So did you leave Vietnam as an E5?
Yes, yes,
Okay, okay.
yes.
So your time is up. You get to go home. I mean, you get to
Right.
come back to South Carolina. What was that like?
Well, it was really strange. Mom and Daddy come up Fort Dix and picked me up. And well, we left there and got back here. We're living in Chapin right over across the road here. And it didn't seem right because I went downtown and the mayor was down there and the judge was sitting there drinking beer. And I walked there and the mayor looked at me and said, "Oh, you're alive?"
Oh, no. No.
I said, "Whoa." And it seemed strange. Some
You
of my
think?
buddies there were still good buddies.
But you think it was strange.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I got in a bunch of trouble.
What kind?
I ripped the school off of copper and everything, new school they were building, and then got in some fights and shot somebody, and I just couldn't adjust for
Yep.
some reason. So I had to go
Would you have been a guy that probably had some PTSD?
already, yeah.
I mean, but nobody knew.
No, nobody knew it.
Yep, yep.
So I had to, Maxie Stone, he was a judge and a lawyer in Newberry, and we went over to Lexington County to the courthouse, and I had to stand before a judge there. And judge said something, I don't know what it was. I really wasn't concerned, I didn't care then.
Yep.
And Maxie said, "Come on, let's go for a ride." He had an old Valiant, if you knew what that was, Plymouth
Oh,
Valiant.
yeah.
And we went across, it was smoking, he was killing mosquitoes. We went across Lake Murray Dam. And he says, "What do you think about going back in the Army?" I said, "Well,
The judge said this.
no, the lawyer.
Oh.
He was a judge also.
Oh, okay.
And I said, "Well, that sounded like it might be a good idea for me." He said, "Well, I'd advise that. If you want to." I said, "Okay." So we got back over there to Lexington. He said, "Go on, go home." I had a 65 Chevelle. It was hot as blazes. I left Lexington, and I was home in 15 minutes, which is a lot longer than that. I got back to Chapin. I packed my clothes. Next morning at 4 o'clock, I was sitting at a recruiting station in Columbia.
Now, would that be considered a re-up?
I don't know what they did because I went in there and I had my 214 and all that. And the guy said, "What you need?" I said, "I want to go back in the Army." He looked at it and says, "No problem. You go back in as E5, keep your time and grade and everything."
So it was like a re-up?
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah. So
Well-
where did they send you?
Fort Jackson to reiterate. Then they sent me to Fort Benning, Georgia,
Oh, yes.
home of the infantry. Well, while I was at Fort, when I got there, they didn't know what to do with me because I was 11 Bravo 4H, which is an instructor.
Yes.
Which that's all Fort Benning is instructors.
Yep.
Well, they hem-hawed around. They tried to send me to Bunker 4 to be a cook, which I refused. Finally, they said, "We got you a job," and they took me up to main post. And I got on weapons committee there. I said, "Now this is good."
This is what I like. Yep.
Yeah, I love it. So, and while I was there, I don't remember Tubbs.
Maurice Tubbs.
Or was it Tubbs? He came back in the Army. I'm not sure it's the same. I'm talking about Craps.
Okay.
Craps, not Tubbs. He came back in the Army. I seen him. He had all his stuff on. I said, "Hey, what's going on, Craps?" And he had PSC on. He said, "Well, I had to come back in because I couldn't handle it on the outside."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, you didn't keep him rank?" He said, "No, they changed that. But I didn't have to go through training and anything. They just sent him
Yeah.
to Fort Benning." So I spent a few years at Fort Benning, went back, or a year at Benning, went back to Vietnam.
Who were you assigned to in Vietnam?
MacV, Team 3.
Okay. And now,
Way.
and that's a different gig. I mean, that's a different job, right? That's not like being in Charlie Company.
Well, what I was doing at one time was like being in Charlie Company. I was running the roads going to our little outpost there, delivering stuff,
I gotcha.
in which I had my 60 mounted on my Jeep,
Yep, yep,
and I was always getting all kind of fire and everything.
yep, yep,
But it was different, but I enjoyed it.
yeah.
Then they moved us out of the way to Camp Eagle when the 101st pulled out. We took over Camp Eagle.
Okay.
And then I was there when we got run out. And that was the strangest thing. I was sitting on a bunker one day, had me a good cold and looking out, and I looked up on the Three Sisters, as they called it, right there on the 101st. Charlie was up there with directed fire.
Artillery?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
175 battery was on the other side where I could see it. They hit that 175 battery.
Oh. Oh.
And there were 49 of us at that time.
And that was different warfare than you'd been in
Oh,
before.
yes. And there were 49 of us in MacV then. And we had all Camp Eagle. The Arvins had,
Yeah, yeah,
was supposed to have it.
yeah.
And it was a different war there. Because I know after that happened, hit that 175 battery, I got my Jeep and I rode down to QL1. It was a 3-lane highway going to Da Nang. Families, Arvins, and everything. I said, you gotta be kidding me. They were running already.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Then they blew the DMZ.
Like you see on TV where the refugees
Yeah,
are
yeah.
running out of the...
And then they blew the QL1, the bridge coming. So they were just running.
Mm-mm.
And then it was a mess because I seen those Arvins trying to load on them Chinooks to get out of there,
Yes.
and they were going up there, they were just falling off.
Oh, they were hanging on.
Yeah, they were trying to hang on, and that Chinook could hardly take off. There's so many of them in there.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, they dusted me. They got me out of there because I was supposed to already be gone. But but I didn't know because we couldn't get anything from Dane.
Yep.
And all we had was one helicopter. But the strange thing about that, Lieutenant Ranger Rogers, as we called him, went down to Da Nang, brought us supplies back, and when he come back, he had the Stars and Stripes. And the headlines were, "Nobody north of Da Nang." The colonel said, "Who the hell are we?" And who are those 3,000 Marines sitting there off the coast? There were two ships sitting out there, but they weren't there, okay? It's just the media was terrible.
Yep, yep. And of course, we found out later the politics of the thing was even worse.
No, they're worse nowadays than they were before, I think.
But I mean, as far as the war went.
Yeah, I know. They it's like what I say. They got a chessboard there. Okay, we're gonna move them here. We're gonna move them there. You know.
Yep. So did you know at that time, just before coming home, were you going to be a career guy? Did you think, I'm going to stay in the Army? I like the Army.
Well, I really liked it, and when I finally got back to the States, I'd only been married a month before I left to go to Vietnam.
The second time,
Yeah.
Miss Becky?
Yeah. I said, I don't think I'm going to stay. Well, they sent me back to Fort Benning. They give me my own range. It's an E5.
Okay.
North and South Galloway range. It was 50 and 60 range. I had 12 people under me. E9, E8, E7, E6s. I said, oh, I'm E5. And I had a class going on. I called and said, I got a class going tomorrow, so-and-so. They'd be there in the morning. They set the range up and all that, bring the weapons out.
Absolutely.
I felt like a general.
Well, you were. I mean, you were in NCOIC,
And I had no
in charge.
You know, I never had no problem with them guys that been. Like I said, Savage was lost platoon. Cheney, when Alley, all those were.
So I know that eventually, sometime down the line, you became a DI.
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little bit. How long into your service did that happen?
Okay, that was 78. I went to drill sergeant, 77, I went to drill sergeant school. And
Was this something you wanted to do?
no, not really. But I since I was appointed, I did it. Well, I messed up and got kicked out of drill sergeant school. Well, that was supposed to ruin my career, they said. Which it's a service school, and if that happens.
Yep.
I said, well, what am I going to do now? They put me up in headquarters. Whatever I was in. And we had this sergeant major. I can't even remember his name, but he was a Golden Glove boxer in the Olympics in '67. He was a winner. Eddie Crook.
Okay.
Eddie Crook. Well, I had this old E7 in the office there, what you call it, the scheduling and everything. And he was pretty cool, but he was strange. And when a new unit come, we had presentation up in battalion headquarters. They had this tape they played. Well, I was in there one day when they were playing this tape. This guy looked and says, "What the hell's that?" I said, "That's a tape they're playing about a Medal of Honor winner." He got up and walked out and looked at me and said, "That's me. I don't like that."
Wow. Wow. Oh.
Well, they finished with it. He went and took the tape out. He went and right in Sergeant Major's office, politely told him this will not be played no more.
I'll be darned.
Well, I said, okay. Well, I was sitting there, the phone rang. I had been there about 3 months when this happened. Phone rang, and this guy said, "Sergeant Dasher, this is so-and-so battalion, or brigade." He said, "I got open here for drill sergeant school." He said, "You want to go back?" I said, "They told me I couldn't." He said, "Do you want to go back?" I said, "Yes." So he submitted my name. Well, I got up to Fort Jackson and walked in. They looked at me. "What the hell are you doing back here?"
God. They remembered.
Yeah. Said, "How did you get back here?"
Sure.
Well, I went through it.
And this time you did it on purpose, and you knew you were going to keep everything straight, right?
Yes. Mother already threatened me.
Yeah. And
Well-
and so tell me about that. Did you take to being a DI? Did you enjoy that?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay.
But they cut me short 6 months because they were cutting back.
Oh yeah. Now were you doing basic trainees or
Well,
AIT
we started out with AIT,
Oh, okay.
and then we went to OSIT, one station unit training.
Okay. Did you used to tell your trainees stories about Vietnam?
Yes,
And
I
that,
want to know about it.
now, do you go back to your AIT? Remember the Vietnam vets we talked about
yeah.
earlier?
They told true facts,
You bet. And
but they weren't. They did it, and I don't know whether they were supposed to or not, but they did it.
Oh yeah. Well, remember the book, and for the classes,
Yeah.
you were supposed to go right by the Army had every single thing in line.
Yeah.
Well, when I got back, they sent me to Fort Campbell, and I became the NCOIC of a rifle range. And of course, I had a lieutenant that was above me,
Right.
and then I had I was E6, and I had an E7. Well, I was just like you. I was in charge,
Right.
and so I would tell the E7 what I needed.
I know.
And stuff. It was kind of funny. But in my class, I had these. It was an hour. It was an hour's worth of
Right.
instruction, and I instructed out of that book for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the time, I talked about reality.
Right.
And I didn't even think about getting in trouble. I mean, I didn't care. I only had 6 months, right? So one day the lieutenant comes to me, and he says, apparently your style of teaching has made the notice of the base commander.
Yeah, but
And I'm not supposed to mention this, but him and his cadre are going to be out here tomorrow to sit in on your class.
Right.
And you know, I should have been nervous. I wasn't. And so I saw them come in the car. You remember the cars they had? And they got up there and they just sat on the one end of the bleachers in the bottom, and I did my 15 minutes, and the 15 minutes was plenty to get the instruction done. And then I went into my routine. And after it was all over, they left, got in the cars and left and whatnot. And Sergeant Lenahan come over and he said, gosh, he says, I sure hope this is going to turn out all right. Because he was a lifer. Yeah. And he was worried. He was worried about everything.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so I didn't think anything more about it. A week later, I get a message. I have to go to the post commander's office. He wants to see me. And then I thought, I know I've only got 6 months left, but he can bust me. He can, you know, I could be peeling potatoes for, you know, the next 6 months. And I go in there, and it was Colonel Hamilton. And gray-haired guy, 2-tour Vietnam vet. I mean, this guy was the real deal. Right. And he called me in, and I locked my heels and saluted him. And he didn't even get up from behind the desk. He goes, "Oh, come on in." He said, "Sit down here." And he looked at me and he said, "You know, you knew I was at your range last week." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "You know, I've always thought that we were doing it wrong." He said, "I've always thought that, especially training guys going to Vietnam.
Right.
If they're just staying in the States, or if they're reservists, or if they're National Guard, that's one thing."
Right.
And he said, "I have officially taken your plan and how you do it, and I'm incorporating that into the other ranges and stuff." And he said, "I was wondering if you would help me do that." But to have the base commander come in,
that's right,
and say, "You know, I knew we were doing it wrong." For him to say that, I knew we've been doing this wrong, and so I felt pretty good about that.
But
so, okay, you got married.
Yeah.
And when did you start having a family?
After I retired.
Okay. and tell me about your family, your kid.
Well, her name's Talitha. She works in Greenville as a human resource manager at a genetic center, which is a big corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And right now they have sent her to Myrtle Beach to put on a big show.
You've got to be very proud of her.
I let me tell you.
She was probably the love of your life anyway.
Right now, I was a high school dropout. My wife's a high school dropout. She's got college, and she is advanced so far ahead, it makes us look like heels.
But you know what? You can't be more proud.
No, I'll tell you.
You know, that's the thing. Next thing I want to ask is, what has your wife meant to you all these years?
She's been in my back. She's kept me straight because I still hadn't settled down. She'll tell you that. Because when I want to go, I'm going.
On a scale from 1 to 10, when you got married, how wild were you? A 10?
Yes, we were wide.
What are you now?
I don't know
what. From a scale from 1 to 10, it's not a 10 probably.
No, it's not a 10. We still argue.
Sure,
so,
sure.
Say about a 7.
What do you think keeps a marriage together?
Well, she was an Army brat. And
I mean, you know, all your buddies have gotten divorced.
I know.
So what kept you together?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think it was Becky?
It wasn't me.
So, I mean, I'm assuming there could have been plenty of chances.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be plenty of chances.
So, and how many years have you guys been married?
48.
Unbelievable. Boy, isn't that wonderful? That's great. What is your definition of a hero?
I walk with a few of them. That's it. You know, I mean, I'm not no hero in my books.
Mm-hmm.
I serve with all y'all. And that's my heroes, the ones I serve with.
Yep. And what does the American flag mean to you?
Right there on the door. Right up there.
What, put it into words. What does it mean?
It's my life. It's Old Glory.
You've served that flag.
Right. And I ain't gonna stop serving it. Ain't nobody gonna stop me.
What does it make you feel like when you see the NFL football players?
I don't watch it.
Yeah. Did you ever see it happen though? Did you ever see those guys do that? Where they wouldn't stand for the national anthem?
Nope.
But you knew about it.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it's, if they won't do that, that's good. I have no use for them.
Yep, yep.
They're think they owed something and they ain't owed a damn thing.
Now, of everything we've talked about today, because this is going to be seen by your family, your daughter. Does she have any kids yet?
No.
Okay, but you'll have grandkids maybe someday, you think?
I don't know.
You hope so, though, right?
Hey, it took us 20 years.
Okay, but you know, and then but generations to
Right,
come.
right.
Your mom, your
Right.
sister. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people
Right.
involved in your circle of family.
Right.
And so they're going to be watching this. And I just want to know, what advice would you give to them for generations to come? What is your best advice for these people coming up? Not only now, but in the future.
Stay strong, back America, and stand up for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's the only thing you got that is free. To keep you free.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and don't let anybody intrude on that. Fight for what you believe.
And you've probably done that all your life.
Yes.
Is there anything at all I haven't mentioned that you want in this interview that is important to you, either about your life, about your service, anything?
Well, there's not really much. You know, you talk about training people and all that. That was my big thing. I loved it. And sometimes I couldn't believe some of the things people would say. I had a lieutenant. We had a bunch of generals and stuff coming from D.C. and all that highfalutin brass and everything. He says, you know, I can't face them. I said, do what? He said, man, they big people. I ended up giving the class.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And it really upset me because he's wanting to make a name for himself,
Of
but he's
course.
scared,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't know, it was a good class. I got commendations and all that, and I made some stupid remarks, but
Didn't we all?
yeah, like the one general, 3-star now, stood up there with a CIB on. He said, what do you do if that 60 runs out of gas? I said, you run down the station, get 5 cents worth and fill it up.
I think that's clever.
Well, I got some chuckles out of it.
I think that's pretty good.
I think he was doing that on purpose.
I think that's a clever answer, don't you?
And then at Fort Benning, I was supposed to went and see the president, but I wouldn't do it. Because I started a new program on the M16 for zeroing and all that. It was making a big success in the Army. Well, Sergeant Major went, which is a big mistake, but I didn't worry about it. But I got a call one day from the assistant post commander. Said, Sergeant Asher, he said, what you doing tomorrow? I said, well, I'm going hunting or fishing. He said, no, you're not. He said, Governor Huckabee will be here tomorrow.
No kidding.
I said, so what? Well, see, there was a lake right behind my range, Bloodland Lake, where I fished. He said, he'll be there at 10 o'clock. I said, well, I got to get clearance to get the range. He said, it's already taken care of.
Oh.
Just be there. And it was just Governor Huckabee and his 2 guards. The MPs brought them out there and they left.
Oh, yeah.
And that was it. And I said, oh.
He seems to me to be a regular guy.
Oh, he is, let me tell you. He once said, well, you mind if I fired a weapon? I said, not one bit. I put him down in the foxhole and ripped him this way and got it adjusted.
Awesome.
And I wasn't worried about it because they would have standing there like.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he fired. I said, okay, you get 3 rounds. He fired 3 rounds. We got out. I cleared the line. Went down the range. He had a shot group like that.
This wasn't his first.
I said, You ever fired once or twice? I said to myself, you lying.
Do you still have your DI hat?
Yeah.
Could you run and get it real quick?
That never
Request for me. Do you still have one cadence left in you?
Oh. Does it have to be nice or bad?
It's your pick.
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Look right into the camera.
All right. Hey, hey, Captain Jack, meet me down by the railroad track with your woman in your hand. I want to be a loving man. Am I right or wrong? You're right. Are we going strong? You're right. Sound off. 1, 2. Sound off. 3, 4. Bring it on down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
3, 4.
Nope, I don't need.
You know what, Larry? Larry, this has been a real pleasure for me.
I appreciate it. It's good having you.
And thank you so much for allowing us to come and,
All right,
and spend
all right.
the time with you.